Hi, this is Graham Jeacocke. I'm reading from Deuteronomy chapter 20 and its laws concerning war with distant enemies. Now, it's quite an interesting chapter, but I want to mark out one verse, and it's verse 10. When you approach a city to wage war against it, offer it terms of peace. If it accepts your terms and submits to you, all the people found in it will become your slaves. If it does not accept terms of peace but makes war with you, then you are to lay siege to it. Okay. So what does all this mean? Well, we have to define what peace means, because peace can mean different things to different people. Now, to God, because God is given the authority for the Israelites to go to war, was to his idea of peace was to love people, love your enemies, love your neighbours, help the vulnerable, the widows and orphans, cancel out your debts. All these things that are good. An atheist would agree, I would imagine. Here's a lyric from a John Lennon song. Imagine if atheists were truthful about how God really was. There, gotcha. Now, back to this video. Now, if a country does not want to be peaceful with Israel, then what is that telling us? Well, it tells us that country is going to war because it doesn't like people. It wants to own land. They fight to own land. Whereas God occupied land via the Israelite nation to discipline people, to love people. You see the difference. All the nations that went to war with the Israel nation, they wanted to own land, right? Now, but God wanted to own land so they could teach people to love one another and get on. Now, the other last remaining problem is, how do you define slave? Because time upon time, if that's the correct expression, I don't know what it is, just came to me. Time after time, that's it. Time after time, atheists always use the argument, slave, slave, slave. Now, I want to put it in a proper context. Now, parents are slaves to their children. They have to look after them 24 hours a day. Well, at least at the beginning of their life. Now, even when they become early teenagers, they're still sacrificing their life, because if anything happened to them, they would really be upset. They are a slave. And why are they a slave? They are a slave out of their love for their sons or daughters. Now, Paul was a willing slave for Jesus Christ. That is why he went to prison. Now, the people in Israel are willing slaves out of love, if they manage to understand that and not just get caught up with a list of rules that say do not do this, do not do that. Then of course you're going to have a negative attitude towards God. So, I think it's all very well atheists nitpicking passages in the Bible that talk about war, that talk about rape, that talk about a punishment when you fail to address the other passages in the Bible that address and put those passages that you condemn into its proper context. Anyway, I've said enough on the subject. So if any of you have comments, please feel free to leave them down below, as you're already been doing, and I'll try and get back to you. And if YouTube deletes my comments, well, that's just life, isn't it? Anyway, enjoy yourselves.